But strength, courage, and wisdom is I was with my father when he committed suicide.
Willie D. Live.
When he blew his brains out, I was in the room with him. In fact, I wrote a book. I'll talk about it later. And there's a chapter in the book called Daddy Go Bang. And that's what I used to say after he killed himself. And what I tell people is if I could be in the room with my father when he blew his brains out, if I could survive my uncle brutally like raping me. I was 3 years old and he was 6'7". So just use your imagination. I have to have strength to live through that. I have to have courage, and to not be crazy after having lived through that, I have to have wisdom. And so I pull on that. And in my book, I talk about how, there used to be a period where I felt sorry for myself because of all the really bad things that happened to me, most of which I didn't do anything to do. I mean, you're born into the family that you're born into. But at some point, I felt sorry for myself. Why is God not a good God? Why did he let all this happen to me? Why did he let my dad abandon me? And at some point, I flipped the script and I said, you know what? God put me through a bunch of really tough personal things so that I could be strong for the people. And so I actually just shifted the paradigm. And that's what it's about. It's about when you go through stuff, rather than feel sorry for yourself that you went through it, get up and just know that you got through it. So the next time something comes to knock you down or to try to detour you, you're going to get up and you're going to survive because you've survived worse. And so that's what I use. So that's where my strength, my courage, and my wisdom comes from.
Was there a human voice, like a earthly human voice in your ear also? I know God was in your ear telling you, hey, this is the path. This is the way you bounce back. But was there a person? I know you're close to your mom. I don't know if that's the person or grandmother. Was there a person?
So there are three people in my family. A strong two, a third one, that helped me be where I am. Like, for sure, when your father commits suicide, and everybody knows your father committed suicide, and kids are cruel. So they would be like, go be with your daddy. Well,
Wow.
What does that mean? Or Jolanda's daddy's head is under the bed because he shot himself in the temple. That's just very difficult. And so suicide was something that I thought about. Suicide was something that I tried because my life was just very hard. But whenever I was at my weakest, I would call my grandmother. Her name was, we call her Dear. Her name was Claudina Jones. And it's just like she sort of knew when I was at my wit's end. And she was there for me. I remember I didn't have a prom dress. Some stuff happened between me and my mother. And I called my grandmother. She paid for me to have a prom dress so I could have prom. Prom is a big deal, in 12th grade. So she was just always there for me. So my grandmother's the first person. And in fact, there's a chapter in my book about my grandmother. The second person was my Aunt Kathy. She was the youngest of my grandparents' children and my father's youngest sister. My grandparents had 12 kids, 6 boys, 6 girls, 4 dark-skinned ones, 4 medium-skinned ones, 4 light-skinned ones. And she went to Prairie View University, and she just taught me a lot. And when I had struggles, I could call her. When I was in moments of weakness, I could call her. I was her favorite niece or nephew, and she was my favorite aunt or uncle. And to this day, we still talk. And then I think I later learned to appreciate, my mother and I had struggles. I write about that in the book as well because a lot of women have issues with their mothers. But here's the bottom line about my mother. My mother made me make straight A's. True story. My mother would beat me, so we got beatings when I was little. My mother would beat me if I made a 97A instead of a 100A. She said, you are not a 97A student. So when you're going to get beat for making a 97, you're going to figure out how to make a 100. And to this day, I mean, I've always been a straight A student. People get distracted, I guess, by the package that I'm wrapped in, but I got full academic rides to every Ivy League. People don't know that. I had a full academic ride to Stanford Law School. when I was in high school, I won the Houston and Vicinity Scholar Athlete. I won the NCAA Top 6 Award, which is where they pick the top 6 student athletes. So I've always been a really good student. And that has probably served me so well in my analytical thinking and my critical thinking, how to read, how to take notes, how to study, how to just prepare more than other people, because you have to prepare more than other people when you get 100 A's. So my mother gave that to me. And my mother always told me when I was younger, Jolanda, some people are going to treat you worse because they think they're better than you because you're black. So you're going to have to be 4 times as smart.